Okay, today I'm going to work on building terrain. Now, Unity comes with some terrain assets. There's a package you can download, and there's even more tools from the asset store. But actually, the assets that come with Unity are pretty decent for what you need. So, you go to 3D Object and go down to where it says Terrain and click Terrain. And already you can see your terrain. Now the position is at 0, 0, but in Unity 0, 0 means the bottom left corner of the terrain, whereas normally it's the middle of the object. But that's alright. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to zoom out a little bit so we can see our terrain a little clearer. And the next thing we're going to do is reduce the size of our terrain. You click this gear icon. Then you scroll down to where it says terrain width and length. It starts at 1,000 by 1,000. I'm just doing some really small sample terrain. Now my ratio is 16/9, so I'm going to make the width 20, and I'm going to make the length 34, and I'm going to go back up to the position, and I'm going to make the X position -10, and I'm going to make the Z position -17. And that does a pretty good job of covering the whole area. Now the next thing we need to do is click on this little brush tool. And you're going to go down to raise and lower terrain. And you can get more tools than this, but honestly you can do a lot just with these tools right here. Let's back up for a minute. You also want to adjust the height of your terrain. We really don't want to go more than, say, 10 for height right here. And that's 10 meters. So back to the brush tool. Right now it won't work. To make the brush tool work, you have to go to Scene View. And then you just click with the left and drag it, and we added a ridge right there. And you can get different art assets that have different ways that they draw stuff out. So this one is a little bit more of a ripple effect. That one's kind of a sharper ridge. You can spend a long time playing with it. Right now I'm just demonstrating the features so that I can make my character move over 3D terrain later. Let's make one really high area right here. Okay, so now that that's done, the next thing you want to do is you want to add some texture to it. So go down to Paint Texture, and now you go to Edit Terrain Layers, Create Layer, and I'm going to scroll down until I get to, here we go. I'm going to go with Terrain Grass. And now as soon as I click that, all of a sudden the whole place is covered with grass. Now to get that asset, I actually downloaded a feature called the Vegetation Spawner, and that came as part of the free assets for it. But we're going to move on to creating trees. So to create trees, I got something called the Vegetation Spawner from the Unity Asset Store. I'll put a link to it in the description, along with a link to a video that shows more about how to use it. So I'm going to create an empty object, and I'm going to call it Spawner. Then I'm going to go over to Add Components, and I'm going to go to Vegetation Spawner. And then click the Set Active Terrain, which lets it know to grab that terrain. So the next thing that I'm going to do is click on the trees thing. I'm going to click Add. I downloaded another asset called conifers from the Unity Asset Store. Now if you scroll down, it has all the assets, including my combat animations, which obviously aren't it, but I guess the computer doesn't know it. And then I'll go to my conifers. We'll get a medium conifer. And click OK. There it goes. It already sprouted one. Now right here, this slide rule adjusts the chances of getting trees. So I can move it up if I want to make a lush forest. I don't want too many trees in the way. Right now I'm testing the movement of my character. This isn't even a real map for the game. So that's enough trees to run a test without too many of them getting in the way. You can change the distance between trees if you want. You can make the trees larger or smaller depending on what you need. There's a lot of things you can do with this vegetation spawner. But that's a good start right now. I got some terrain mowing, and in the next video I'm going to get my movement set up for my character. Thank you for watching another episode of SS Street Fighter. Leave a like, leave a comment, and click subscribe to join the Street Fighter army. I'd also like to send a thank you to my Patreon supporter, Charles.